Time for some NFL Betting Blitz. It is Divisional Round Sunday. 2 more games today. Before we dive into today's game, let's briefly talk about what we saw yesterday. Gosh, Eric, wasn't that first game Texans-Chiefs? Didn't that just feel like another Chiefs sort of game? I mean, we back the Texans. If you back the Texans in the first half, you're sitting there scratching your head going, one penalty gave the Chiefs 3 points where we stopped them. And it was a late roughing the passer where it really wasn't roughing the passer. And then another play in the first half, they missed a long field goal where they could have got 3, and it sets up the Chiefs on a short field for a touchdown. You feel like you gave the Chiefs 10 points in the first half, and that's just what happens in their games all the time. They're not really dominating. They're not moving the ball all that much on offense. They just capitalized on the mistakes of the Texans.
Yeah, if you would have told me that the Texans would be averaging over 5 yards per carry, the Chiefs wouldn't have over 200 yards to the 7-minute mark of the fourth quarter, I would have said, hey.
That's the template we want. That's exactly what we're looking for, right?
Yeah, and it was just it was just a Chiefs game, like
even the
they
kick
got
at the
outplayed
end.
the Texans. Texans defense is elite. At the end of the day, I don't understand. Schultz had the first drive, he had a catch for 34. Then they didn't target him till the midway part of the third.
Yeah.
I really don't understand Slowick's play calling or what he's trying to do. I like the fact they didn't become so run heavy like they've done in the past, looking to run on first downs. But you got to spread the ball around. Obviously, their first thing is going to be what draft or sign at number 2, because Diggs is a free agent. He's more than likely gone. Dell's going to be out for a while with that knee, so they definitely need to get a number 2 guy.
Another weapon. See, yesterday is a type of game where the best coordinators and coaches at this point of the year, they don't feel the need to get cute. It's like, if you're looking at that and that's an advantage with Schultz, you target Schultz 15 times, right? Like if that's where you have your advantage, you just pepper him. You don't feel worried about having to get some of these 4th and 5th and 6th string guys in there that don't have a lot of reps and haven't had a lot of opportunities.
They had one guy in there that hadn't been playing.
He had one. Literally,
and they were talking about how good he was doing in the regular season in practice. That's great.
It's like practice. It's great.
This isn't the time.
And it's not. It wasn't just this simple. But when you have guys on the Texans' offense, some of their receivers and their playmakers, and it was the same thing, Eric, with the Lions' defense last night too. There's guys at the ends of the games, they haven't played all year long. They're getting big reps, and these guys are committing penalties and big moments and things like that. For the Texans, O-line struggles, right? It kind of puts them in a bad spot a lot of times too. They were struggling. Both the offensive line struggled a little bit yesterday. Both defense were putting pressure on the quarterback. So yeah, with the Chiefs now, they get to kick back and watch the big game today. And right now, they feel really good about their chances with one of these 2 teams, Baltimore or Buffalo, having to go on the road and play them. And now the number 1 seed on the other side knocked out. Anything else you want to mention about that game from yesterday?
Nah, Mixon looked good. The offensive line definitely needs to be addressed. Defense is elite for the Texans.
This was a bummer, Eric, as we had Bobby Thomas asking for a wellness check. We saw the Lions, the concerns that you as a fan had and the concerns that we had over the last month of the season all come to fruition yesterday. Was it the second play of the game where the guy broke his arm?
Yeah. And Robertson's been playing great, and he broke his arm, and
you just feel it right then. Right away, you're like, uh-oh, this is not going great. And combination of now you're down guys.
Yeah.
Your Goff is not playing well, obviously. Like, he doesn't play well. And Daniels plays very, very, very well, right? It's like all of those things have to have happened. Even then, it's still a 3-point game. It's, 31-28. And there were those, just as you had pointed out, what scared you? Those big high leverage plays, those fourth downs where there was a chance. It's like 4th and 3. The Lions have an opportunity to get a stop, get the ball, and then take it and go take the lead. But instead, Daniels continues to pick up these first downs, like 4th and 2 or 3, and he gets 3 or 4 on the run. He gets there each and every time, just like picking up the right amount. When you have that running quarterback that can pick up play, that can make plays like that, I mean, that's why Lamar and Josh Allen, we've seen Mahomes do it. That's why they're so valuable. It just felt like it was a perfect storm against the Lions. And I think we kind of, not that we forgot about it, but when the Lions were so dominant against the Vikings in the last couple of weeks of the year, you almost felt like, okay, they found a way to mitigate some of the injuries. But I mean, the 20 defensive injuries at some point throughout the year, it just gets to a point where it's too much when you're playing against a good team and a good player like a Daniels, who you have to be disciplined playing against.
Yeah, I mean, I look at the game like this. I thought it was an awful game from Ben Johnson. Just complete.
Yeah.
3rd and 1 in the first.
Too cute.
Over 7 yards per play. Why are you having Goff drop back?
Yep. Too cute.
That led to an INT. Down by 10, basically need a drive to keep your season alive. And you run a wide receiver pass with Jamison Williams, who's your most undisciplined player.
I know, that was bad. You know, you don't want him making decisions.
Yeah,
he's just the react guy.
I just don't understand. And this has been a thing with Johnson. And look, I don't know. Like, my thing was they should. As a Lions fan, I will die to my grave with the two things. They should have kicked those field goals last year, and they should have drafted Jalen Carter over Jahmyr Gibbs. Those are the two things. Windows close fast in this league. Now, look, I'm not the biggest Aaron Glenn guy. He doesn't change his defense enough for me. I thought he should have got fired last year after blowing a 17-point lead to the 49ers. So losing him, bringing in a Dennis Allen, who's proven he's a good DC, a Robert Saleh, who's proven he's a good DC, doing something like that, that can be an upgrade. Now, in terms of Ben Johnson, is he fun? Yes, but there's times where he just gets too damn cute with what he tries to do.
I wonder if with both of the guys, because it felt like this down the stretch, it felt like Johnson and Campbell were both coaching a little bit too much based on what they thought they had defensively. It was almost like they felt like they always had to be so cute and so ahead of the curve offensively, instead of, like you said, you've got a good run game and a good offensive line. If you just stood back there and handed the ball off every single time, honestly, like it, I don't think it would have been a bad situation.
And Holmes has been great at his draft picks, but obviously Arnold, the kid from Alabama who they drafted, the DB, brutal game, brutal season. He missed his assignment, pinched the middle, led to Daniels getting around the corner on that fourth down play.
Tommy and Brady called him out. Was getting on him for that one too.
28th pick. Looking at the teams with cap space of the quote unquote contenders, I guess, like the top half, they're the only ones in the top 15. They're gonna have about $62 million in cap space. And the core of the offense is coming back. They're only losing Zettler, who's their left guard, the guy that came over from the Ravens. So they'll look to address that. But defensively, obviously, you got to sign a second pass rusher, maybe get a Mac from Los Angeles, from the Chargers, maybe draft a kid. Draft is so weird because you don't know who's going to be there.
It's right now, 28 and stuff.
Obviously need to get some help in the DB because they're great at this. Branch and Joseph are electric in the safety position. But just historically speaking, they just cannot be good at the cornerback position. So, disappointing end of the season.
Because you felt like you were built like this is as close as the Lions have been as a team building wise. It was just the injuries kind of coming at the wrong time, little things here and there that came together. But it's so difficult when you have a season like the Lions did, or even like the Vikings did, where I mean, you were good almost all the year, all season long. Everyone that came in front of you, that was put in front of you, you found ways to get through them almost each and every time. And now you got to start all over. And it's one of those points where you don't want to make a bunch of changes and go really extreme, because you were a good football team. You just got to find a couple little tweaks to make and hopefully get a little lucky too. Sometimes you got to be good. Sometimes you got to be lucky. And like we said, you're watching that game and the guy gets hurt right off the bat. And it's like, really, this is what's going to happen right now, like in this big moment. So,
and even more so, that still Washington's defense can't stop the run at all.
That's it. We said it. They were the third worst in the league. You just got to be disciplined. The only way
running the ball, like it was mind-boggling from Ben Johnson when we saw that.
The only way you were going to keep that Washington defense in the game is by giving them an opportunity to make plays, right? By you dropping back a ton, high variance stuff, some of the trickery. If you just got really simple, they were going to be worn down by the second quarter. And that's sort of what happened to your defense. You guys got worn down with the practice squad defenders that were playing, the third week preseason guys that were playing for the Lions last night. So yeah, it's combination of a lot of things, but bad night to have a bad game, really. And the injuries eating up on you. Coaches got a little bit out coached. We'll talk more about them, Eric, but super disappointing, because it did feel like when you looked at the lay of the land, the NFC was definitely there for the taking this year. No doubt about it. You had a 49ers team that wasn't the team a lot of people thought, and it felt like the Lions had a real opportunity where the playoffs were going through them. Eric, let's get into today. We've got the Rammies on the road heading to Philly. And Philly, this game has moved all the way up to the Eagles -6.5. Do you know what the weather is going to be like over there today? It's supposed to be pretty cold, right?
Pretty cold, snow. And I know everyone says snow under, but it favors the offense. Offense knows where they're going.
It's the defense that can't really react as well.
Know what to do. I was always going back and forth on a side on this one. I actually pulled the trigger. I took the Eagles here -6.5. Rams defensive struggles against the run. 21st DVOA defending the run, allowing 128.7 yards per game. 21st most. This defensive line is small, quick, and agile. I just don't think they're built to handle the physical size of this Eagles offensive line. Eagles 9-1 ATS last 10 games, favored by 7 points or less. Also, dome teams that play outside in the playoffs the last 20 years are 39% ATS. Stafford, 42% ATS in games where the temperature is 40 degrees or below. Temperatures are expected to be in the mid-30s. This obviously favors the Eagles. Rams allow 28.2 points per game when they've played a team with a top 10 DVOA rushing attack. Goes back. I don't think they're going to be able to get enough stops on the run. Rams defense is bottom 10 on the league in early downs. So if the Eagles are constantly able to get a 6-yard run, 5-yard run with Barkley early on, it's going to be hard for them. In the previous game, the Eagles rushed 45 times for 314 yards, 7.3 yards per contact. In the second half, they had a 10-yard drive, a 10-play drive, a 12-play drive, another 10-play drive, and a 12-play drive. I just don't think this Rams team is going to be able to get stops. And when you factor in it's possibly going to be snowing, this obviously is going to favor the Eagles' offensive attack. Rams passing game relies heavily on the middle of the field. Looking back at Vic Fangio's defense, this is their strength. They are elite covering the middle, struggle a little bit covering the outside. Stafford and the passing attack of McVay really doesn't look to do that. So I did the Eagles here -6.5. I also did a player prop. I took Dallas Goedert over 33.5 receiving yards. Rams give up the 4th most yards per game to opposing tight ends, allowing 64.8 yards per game. 8 of the last 10 tight ends have gone over this total, averaging 53.8 yards per game. Goddard has gone over this total his last 3 games, averaging 3.7 receptions, 45.7 yards. In that 5 games, he's averaging 54.3. So I'm on the Eagles minus a 6.5 and Goddard over 33.5 yards receiving.
Yeah, it doesn't happen often when we're on opposite sides, but I think that the Rams can keep this game close. A couple things that I'm expecting them to do. I actually like that they played the Eagles already and they got beat up against them, because I just don't think the Rams are going to come at them trying to do the same sort of thing. Where I expect to see the Rams have a little bit of success, I don't think they're going to try to run the ball right up the gut at the Eagles. I think they're going to get a little bit creative with how they run the ball outside. And I think they're going to use Puka a little bit, rushing the ball. We've seen that actually happen with them where they've given him the ball a little bit because he's just a little bit bigger and harder to bring down. So I'm going to actually play a Puka rushing prop because I think they'll give him a couple opportunities. And a lot of the metrics, one, I actually like the fact that Stafford is just a guy who's been outdoors before, right? He's had to play in the conditions before, having been playing against the Packers and having been in Detroit. A lot of the overall numbers with the Rams the last couple years, I think can be off when we look at some of the advanced metrics, because they would have these stretches where they were hurt. Nakua was banged up. Kupp was banged up. They were missing a lot of offensive linemen. I think because they're led by a lot of young defenders, they've improved a lot, and we've seen them get a lot better. Where I think they could also have an advantage is the head coach and the coaching, some of the decision-making with McVay versus Sirianni. So that's going to be a key. I'm going to hopefully lean on some of the experience and some of the coaching of McVay. I'm going to hope that McVay learned a lesson from first time against them. We can't go right up the gut. They're bigger than us. We have to use some of our skill position players, because I think if we're matching up skill position players with what we've seen from the Eagles offense lately, they've been incredible running the ball, but they haven't been able to really connect throwing the ball much. So can the Rams really sell out, not stop Barkley, but just in, like you're saying, instead of those 6 yards that Barkley's getting, can we get 3.5 or 4, cut him down a little bit because you got an extra man or two in the box, and then make it a little bit more difficult for Jalen Hurts. Then you force Jalen Hurts to throw the ball, where they have, even from way back in the middle of the season when the Eagles were still playing well, there was a weird stuff with Hurts and with A.J. Brown. It's been kind of a weird year for them throwing the ball. So that's what I'm going to lean on, hoping that we can get an advantage from the coaching. If it's a low-scoring game or if there's not as many possessions because both of these teams are running the ball, that'll help a team like the Rams, who's a dog in here. So let's see. Eagles by 21, says Stafford. Look like the fact that Kupp is sleeping to throw the ball. Yeah, I think it's funny.
Kind of funny.
That was funny. That was a pretty good one, right? Is that was that like a college thing? Remember, what was it? The college quarterback?
That was a big Twitter rumor that Stafford wasn't throwing Kupp the ball because Kupp was having an affair with him.
That's funny. Yeah. So prop wise in this game, Eric, what are you looking at?
I just gave the Dallas
you went with
prop. In terms of first time touchdown, geez. I mean, these odds are a little, who do you think is going to get the ball first? I mean, I think it wouldn't surprise me with what the Eagles do. Even if they won the toss, they're going to get the balls. McVay historically looks to defer. I mean, he's plus 400, so there's no way in hell I'm going to bet Saquon Barkley first time touchdown. I would throw a little bit though on A.J. Brown plus 900 on BetMGM. He, coming off a down game, that's usually when he looks to bounce back. Rams defense has some dudes, but when you just kind of look at their size, they're all smaller, faster dudes.
Yeah.
So, like high point A.J. Brown in the corner of the end zone. So I'll throw a little bit on him. A.J. Brown first time touchdown. That'd be that. And then I did Goddard over the 33.5 receiving yards.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to go with Puka. I'm going Puka first time touchdown there, because I would not be shocked to see him get a little rushing and a couple carries there as well. So beer bet for us up against each other today.
Even on my show, we've been doing t-shirt bets, and those
there you go. Okay.
Funner. So
there we go.
If Eagles cover, you send me a Eagles t-shirt. If the Rams cover, I will send you a Rams t-shirt. And the fun part is though, I get to pick out the t-shirt if the Rams.
Okay.
For you know what I mean?
It's going to be it's going to be an XFL
what,
Jim.
I lost one to Jim. I sent Jim a lovely Northwestern.
It's going to be a Pupa Nakua shirt. That's what it's going to be. It's going to say that on there. It's going to be like Nakua with a little emoji on there. Okay, so that's the Rammies at the Eagles. Anything else you want to hit on that game, Eric?
No.
Okay. This next one is going to be really interesting. So you've got the Ravens at the Bills. Baltimore enters the divisional round. They've won 5 in a row, all by at least 14 points. And what's flipped for them defensively, they had one of the worst defenses in the league to start the season. Since week 14 and including the playoffs, the defense now ranks number 1 in EPA allowed per play, defensive success rate, drop back EPA, drop back success rate, rushing success rate. They're number 4 in rushing EPA allowed. They went from giving up 367 yards a game to just 264 yards per game. They made an adjustment with Kyle Hamilton, using him more as a safety, and that's just changed the way they play. I think that this team is what I'm hoping is if Baltimore gets beat, they're just going to live and die by the run. Like what you were talking about a little bit more with Detroit. We don't want to see Baltimore get cute. That's what they did last year. They tried to throw the ball against Kansas City. They got caught up in a game trying to prove that Lamar is a drop back passer. We've seen Lamar improve. Who cares? If some games he needs to throw the ball a little bit more and other games you need to run the ball, that's what you have to do to win games. And I think they're just going to lean on the run quite a bit. And that's what I'm worried about. Can Buffalo stop this Ravens run game that almost had 300 yards rushing last week? They broke the all-time record for yards per carry in a season by a team, 5.76. And even the little things, I was worried about the Baltimore defense earlier in the year. I was worried about the Baltimore kicking game. Tucker was missing a bunch of kicks. He's made his last 3 field goals in a row. He's made his last 22 point after attempts in a row. So the things they were struggling at early in the year, they're better now. They've improved. They've cleaned those things up. And their strength is just been one thing they've really been leaning on lately, running the ball with both Lamar and with Henry. The one play that I have for both sides, Eric, for Boom, when I on my Boom fantasy play, I went quarterback rushing attempts for both these guys. I think it's going to be one of those games like what's the water boy? Last game of the year. Can't hold anything back now. I feel like we're going to get both of these guys running the ball 10, 11, 12 times where you're not worried about them getting the little hits. I mean, we even saw Stroud yesterday. Stroud took a couple nasty hits coming around the corner trying to get the first downs. I just think you're going to get a little bit of that from both of these guys. I'm really looking forward to this game. It should be an absolute blast, but those are 2 of the props I'm playing. Rush attempts for both Lamar and for Josh Allen. I think they're like 8.5 and 9.5.
My 2 things I did of this is look, the first thing, you look at the last 20 years, Lamar Jackson, best quarterback, ATS first half. Josh Allen, best quarterback, ATS second half.
I love this play that you've got.
I like this one. I did a Ravens to be leading at halftime, Bills to win the game plus 800.
I love that parlay. Yep.
So I did that one. And in terms of this game, it just all comes down to running. Are the Bills going to be able to stop the run? Last game, really had a hard time stopping it. Yep. Ravens rushed for 271. They're averaging 193.8 yards per game. That's the stat right there. If the Bills can stop the run, the Bills are going to be in a position to win it. Now you got 2 of the best quarterbacks in the game, historically speaking, cover these small numbers. Which defense is going to play better? To me, this is a live betting extravaganza. I'm going to be looking to live bet. You're going to probably be able to get good money plus odds on both teams throughout the game. So I don't really have a side. The one player prop I do have is I want Justice Hill over 21.5 receiving yards. Bills give up the most yards per game to opposing running backs, allowing 44 yards per game in the passing game. They are 21st DVOA defending running backs in the passing game. 11 of the 17 games this season, Bills had running backs go over 21.5. And in those games, they averaged 53 yards per game. Last game, Hill had 78 against them. And the one thing the Ravens do is if this is a negative game script, it's Justice Hill time because he's a bigger factor in the passing game than Derrick Henry is. If it's third down, it's Justice Hill. So I think Hill's going to be a factor in the passing game. So I played his props. But I think there's going to be a time where you're probably going to be able to get plus 150 or better on both these teams live.
Yeah, if you can wait a little bit and you can just pick the team at the right moment. Eric, you got the first time tutty prices up there?
Yep. Which one you want?
Give me, I guess I'm going to go Andrews. I think I'll probably get a little bit more value there. I mean, Lamar and Henry are the obvious ones, but I could see a little play action. Andrews out wide. So give me Andrews.
He is plus 1,200.
Seems about fair. Where are you headed?
I'll go Cook plus 800.
We got Coleman here on a first tutty from Let's Make Some Money. Plus,
so Coleman's an interesting guy just because if you look at the bill, like if you rank who you want to stop for the Bills, obviously Josh Allen 1, Cook 2, 3 Sinclair 3 Kahil Shakir, 4 Hollins, Coleman, Kincaid.
Yeah, probably the tight end.
One of those 3 guys
is going to be left, kind of forgotten about.
And is going to be in line to have a good game for the Bills.
It's like kind of like we're talking about. This is what happens in the big games. Like yesterday for the Texans, Collins was sort of taken out of the game. They weren't doing a good enough job of getting the ball to Schultz. They needed a guy like Mechie to step up when he had the opportunity, and he just wasn't able to quite do so. That's what could happen today. Could today be a massive Coleman game to where, he is the X factor in a game like today? Both teams have some guys like that you could forget a little bit about if you put your focus in other places. So Coleman, first time touchdown there. Anything else you want to hit on, Eric, before we take a look at our Boom fantasy lineups?
No, hopefully we get 2 good games. So,
okay, I think this one is for you, my friend. Talk to us about how you've set up your Boom for today.
Oh, I actually didn't put yours. Yeah, that's mine. My bad. These are just 2 of the props I like. I think they're going to be highly featured in the passing game, and they're going to be throwing the ball over.
Yeah, no problem there. So that was the Goddard and Hill Boom.
I only send both of mine.
Let me see. No, I think I got I think both went.
Oh, that is my bad.
No worries. So for me, my Boom was the one that I sent you with both quarterbacks. So that's the key for me. I've got both quarterback rushing attempt props. So Josh Allen over 8.5 rushing attempts. Lamar Jackson over 9.5 rushing attempts. And then I've got Puka Nacua over 2.5 rushing yards. So I just need a 3-yard carry from Puka. And I need both guys to be running the ball a lot. We saw Lamar and Henry basically running the option last week where Lamar, when they were trying to stop Henry early, they were leaning, Lamar would just keep it quite a bit. So Eric, we've made it here. I don't think I will be with you for Championship Sunday based on travel because I think I'll be flying right back from Gulfstream Park in Florida when you're going to be doing the show. But we will be back to talk a preview for Super Bowl. We'll have you on early in the week. We can go through some props, and then we'll do another thing. I'm not exactly sure if we'll do it that Sunday or maybe we'll do it early or later. But we've made it through another season almost all the way. I'm bummed out for your Lions not being able to get the job done, but another good job, man, with the hard work that you put in on this show, on your show, all over the place, covering the games with your fantasy stuff, your rankings, individual plays, props, all over the place, man. One of the hardest working guys out there. Great job another year covering the NFL.
Thanks, man. Enjoy working with you. You put in twice as much work as I do with everything you do. So appreciate your time, and hopefully we can finish the season strong.
Good luck to everyone out there. We hope you have a fantastic Sunday. Make a bunch of money in all of your plays, and we'll see you again real soon right here on NFL Betting Blitz.